Even though I grew up in a small town, I always thought of myself as a city girl. A few times a month, my family and I would leave the confines of Epworth, Iowa, and head 7 miles north to my grandparents' farm. For me, these were trips to the country. Like every family farm in Iowa, this one has a story and a history that makes it stand out from the rest. The family farm is located in Section 10, Township 89 North and Range 1 West in Iowa Township, just 15 miles west of the city of Dubuque. I always referred to my grandparents as living in the town of Bankston in central Dubuque County. The actual town of Bankston has a church, a feed store, and just a handful of homes. One of the first plat books of Dubuque County shows Section 10 as unoccupied land covered with timber. One of the first inhabitants of Section 10 was a German immigrant named George Wolfe. There is very little information on the early life of George, but I was able to find out that at the age of 22, he boarded a ship in Bremen, Germany, on his way to the U.S. The ship, named the Alfred, landed in New York City. I don't know the reason why, but George headed straight to Dubuque County. He was one of the first settlers in the Bankston area and the very first in Section 10. He farmed 180 acres. George married a Prussian immigrant living in Cascade, Iowa, and they raised a family of 5 children on the family farm. The youngest child, his son Peter, would stay on the farm to help after his siblings all married and moved away. There is conflicting information about George and Mary's life, but Mary passed away first, and a few years later George died and left the farm in Peter's hands. Peter had married Caroline Breipak, and she moved on to the farm to start the next generation. To accommodate a growing family, Peter and Caroline built a large farmhouse on their land in 1917. Peter and Caroline's youngest son was born in this house in 1919. They named him Peter after his father, but everybody called him Joe. He was the youngest of 7 children. Joe joined the army and served in North Africa and Italy during World War II. He returned home in 1945, the same year that Caroline died, and started to run the farm with his father. In 1948, Joe married Jeanette Leibold. Jeanette and Joe began to raise their family in the same family farmhouse. Father and son ran the farm together until Peter passed away in 1956. My father Bill was the second born. The family made improvements to the farm and the house, and all of the children helped out on the farm. Spanning many years, there were 15 children in the family. The children all grew and went out to begin their own lives, guided by the support of their parents. In November of 1990, Joe died suddenly at the breakfast table, in the same house he was born. Jeanette still lives on the farm today and has been there for 61 years. Most of the family still lives nearby, and she is able to enjoy weekend visits and family gatherings. The youngest sons in the family, Ed and Joe, also live on the farm and take care of my grandma. They also operate the farm. During Peter's time on the farm grew from 180 acres to 280 acres. The original farmhouse still stands in the same place on the homestead as it did 100 years ago. The wraparound porch has been taken off in the 1960s, but the majority of the structure has not changed. A few older original structures still stand on the farm today, including a detached garage to the north of the house. The large barn was built in 1919. Aluminum siding has been put on since, but it's still structurally the same. This barn was a centerpiece of the dairy operation during the farm's history. This is another little original structure that has served multiple purposes over the years. Today it has a loading dock attached. There are 3 functional machine sheds on the farm. The first was built in the late 1950s and today stores round bales. The foundation of the machine shed was formed with the same boards that are used to hold up the walls. Within the past year and a half, land on the north side of the farm has been taken out of production for 2 large building projects, including this large structure. The other building project are 2 large bunk silos. They measure 160 feet by 50 feet, and they're 8 feet tall. They hold the silage for the stock cows. Ed and Joe buy feeder calves and stock cows from around the Midwest, mostly in Kansas. They bring them to the farm, fatten them up, and get them ready to sell. In the past, they have sold to processing plants in Postville, Iowa, and Green Bay, Wisconsin. The only other animal on the Wolf farm today is a goat. This is Fred. He's my Uncle Ed's pet, and he just roams the farm. Because of the loss of land due to building projects on the farm in the past few decades, my uncles now rent farmland from surrounding landowners to fulfill their crop needs. Today they have corn, hay, and soybeans. The area across the road was originally all timber.
Push trees in the big pile. Oh, they cleared a little bit each year. We used to go back there and pick blackberries, sneak through in Bagley's timber. But you had to be real quiet. And then eventually, we pretty much had it all cleared off by the mid-60s. But that's how a lot of farms were. Timber.
In addition to running the farm, Ed and Joe also work for a fencing company and travel around Iowa to put in fences. But between the two of them, the farm runs smoothly. And the farm has nearly tripled in size in the past 100 years. The Wolf family is forever connected to this piece of land north of Bankston, Iowa, and this farm is very much a part of our family's history. For 3 generations, the farm has passed from father to youngest son. Although the future is uncertain, the farm will always be a special place to me. I've come to know every curve of the roads that lead to my grandparents' house, and I hope I continue to get to make the trip there for years to come.